Welcome to this week's episode of the Dope Creator Podcast. I'm your host, Diamond, and here we get real with your favorite creators and CEOs. We have conversations that will challenge you, motivate you, educate you, and ultimately remind you of how dope you are. And today we have like the best treat you could ever have, ever. Hey, what's up, girl? Introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Asa. If you don't know me, I am a lifestyle and beauty creator. I'm also a host, a philanthropist, a child of God, okay? And yeah, I'm here to be on the Dope Creator Podcast. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited that you're here. This is going to be an amazing episode. It's going to be full of the good stuff that y'all not ready and some shade. Or maybe a little bit of shade.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Okay, girl. So now that you're here, let's get into it. So what was little Asa's dreams and aspirations?
It's so funny because I feel like little Asa is like a vibe. I sometimes, like, she still pops out.
Mm-hmm.
Little Asa was sassy. She said what was on her mind a little too much. She also was very, like, clear on what she liked and what she didn't like. They used to call me Wasa because I used to eat I would order a whole bunch of food and never eat it. I would eat like 2 or 3 bites.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then my aspirations was I wanted to be a pediatrician. So funny.
A pediatrician. Wow, you are on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Completely opposite side of the spectrum. But I think that was just like my desire to want to help people peeking out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it was just like that desire to want to like show up and help people. And I have a love for children that sometimes they get on my nerves though, child. But I really do love kids, and everywhere I be, like I'll be on an airplane or something and like a baby will just walk up to me and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know why, but I think it's just because I have such a nurturing heart. So yeah, that was like my aspirations as a kid.
Which makes total sense. And then those babies do be a trap because then you start feeling, the hormones, and you're like, no, go away.
Not ready yet. I not wait to be a mom. Not ready yet.
No, not ready. That's funny that you say you wanted to be a pediatrician though, because I wanted to be a lawyer. It was between a lawyer and actually a doctor. It was weird. I don't know where that came from. Maybe because I like to argue as a kid. I did like to argue.
Same.
I like to state, my opinion. So that's probably where the lawyer came in. Then I also wanted to be a real estate agent, which is like, why would I want to be real estate? But I feel like too, my grandma had a huge impact on me too, because she was a real estate agent in that too. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But again, we're completely on a different side of the spectrum, and I'm okay with that because the outfits that I'd be wearing would not be, accepted in those areas.
Those fields. Oh wow, I didn't think about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. It's okay. So what would you say then was the pivotal moment that led you to the path of content creation? Like, how did you go from wanting to be a pediatrician to pursuing content creation?
Well, I would say like little Asa wanted to be a pediatrician. Like when I say little, like maybe 6 years old. But since I was a little kid, I've always been in front of the camera. My Uncle John, like, it's like a photographer, videographer. He would always have his camera out, and he pretty much would like just record me at my birthday when I would come visit in Georgia. He lives in Georgia, so like, we would go visit and stuff as a kid. And so basically, I just got very familiar being in front of the camera. And it's so funny because when I was in college, I struggled a little bit with knowing what I wanted to do in college because in high school, like I did fashion, I did media, I did so many things. I was like, I just don't know, how do I get this as a job? And my fashion teacher was like, you should look into communications. I was like, well, what's that? And she's like, people who want to be on TV study communications and they could be a newscaster or news broadcast, all this stuff. So went to school, applied to all of the programs. I was supposed to go to Clark Atlanta University, but sadly, financial aid told me a week before moving that I couldn't go. So I ended up going to a smaller school, a PWI in New Jersey called Kane University. And honestly, that was the best decision that I could have ever made. I feel like I didn't really have a decision. I just had to go. I just knew I had to go to school. And studying communications showed me like what I could do in front of the camera. My first job was in news, and I did not love it. I did not love it at all. But I knew, I was like, well, I could be a creator. I just got to figure this thing out. So when I say I've worked every job, And I figured it out. I just kind of would keep going to creator events. I would be an assistant of another creator. And I just kind of worked my way up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting though that how influencer was such like a horrible word years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Like, don't say it, don't talk about it, like don't do anything with it. And now today it's like, no, this is where it's at, right? The brands, the companies are like, no, we need influencers, we need creators, like we need y'all. It's
So crazy.
absolutely insane.
And like what people also don't know, well, people who've been following me since like day one know that I've been modeling since I was like 16 years old. And so it was like not, I would say like I was very fashion and like hair based. Like I would do hair shows, high fashion stuff. And so that was, I would say, the first break into like having a spotlight on me, like at a young age. But
Mm-hmm.
like, man, like growing in that space and then being like, oh, okay, like you could really do this as a model. I did not want to be an influencer at all. I avoided being like, I did not identify myself as an influencer until like 2020 because I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be seen as the girl who just takes photos and is obsessed with herself. But I still don't identify necessarily as an influencer. I identify as a creator. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, because we're all creators.
Yeah.
We're all creators. That's what it is. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. But honey, don't hold on. You tipping us in because you're not only a creator, but like you got some other things going on. You know, you're also a host
Mhm.
and a founder and a CEO. So tell us about how your deep passion for connecting with people and providing tangible resources actually led you into developing this community because
Yeah.
honey, you out here
Yes.
doing the things. Tell us.
Outside of like being on set and being in front of the camera, doing my makeup and all those things, like I have a gift of connecting people. I didn't really realize this was a gift of mine until I would say my adult years, but I was always operating in it. It's
Mhm.
just, I just connect people. Like I can meet one person and then I could be like, oh my God, you need to meet such and such. And then they'll meet and then it will be like, oh my gosh, now we can get this dream executed or this idea executed. And so it started from, I would always have birthday parties as a kid, and they would
Mhm.
always be like family reunions and people just getting together. And now they're doing creative collabs and stuff together. So 2 years ago, I started Beauty and Becoming. I was living in LA by myself. I struggled to find community. Y'all know LA is a very superficial, like tough place to be. And I really hated how every event I went to, people were only worried about what you did and they weren't worried about like, they didn't care about who you are. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I want to create a space where people could just show up as they are, express themselves, have access to wellness and healing, and not feel like they have to give a whole elevator speech just to feel welcome in the room. So I
Mhm.
started Beauty and Becoming, and Beauty and Becoming is a space for creatives to be beyond who they are. And this honestly, this started off as me just having birthday dinners and having people over for Thanksgiving, and people were just connecting and like, yo, I feel so free, I feel so loved, I feel so motivated. And so it turned into Beauty and Becoming, and now it's like I'm hosting events for Pilates for people to connect, and it's for creators, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the actors, like whatever creative field you're in, like Beauty and Becoming welcomes you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. Wait, you said Pilates. I'm a Pilates girl now.
I love Pilates.
I love Pilates too. I was mad at my instructor though when I went this week because my abs were hurting and I was like low key in my head fighting her, but it's okay. However, I love that. I love, that you bring Pilates girls together. You have these different types of events to make people feel seen, have that community. And I've heard stories of LA and how hard it can be
So
to
tough.
find a community because they're mostly about status, what you do, who you are, who you're connected with, and not who you are as a person. And you
Yeah.
saw that need and you went for that need. And that is how businesses are born. If you
Yes.
see need, you're like, let me create this. Let me do something about it.
It also like allows people to see that like it's I feel like it's everyone's right to just treat human beings as human beings. But it's another thing too to be in this industry and to see someone beyond what they do, because then you create a true relationship. You don't just know them now. You actually create a relationship
Mhm.
And a lot of people that I've been able to like sit down, talk to, hear things that they're going through, you look at their Instagram and TikTok numbers and be like, dang, I didn't even know you was going through this. Like,
Yeah.
but those people remember you. They circle back, they keep you in mind
Mhm.
for opportunities, they put you in campaigns, they be like, hey, I know a client who would be perfect for you. Like when I
Mhm.
tell you most of the opportunities I've gotten is not because my numbers hit or like of course the numbers and stuff is there, but like it's really because people are like, I remembered when you remembered me. I remember when you put my name someplace where I wasn't in the room. And honestly, the favor returns. So
For sure. Oh my goodness. I love that you said that. That reminds me of like recently I went to see I have like multiple nail techs, mind your business. But
oh,
one of my nail techs, and she, just like past year or so really started picking up content yes, content, but also started picking up clients. And I was just talking to her, being her, and just like really actually getting to know her. And so she's actually on this podcast. So y'all gonna see.
wow.
Yes. But what I didn't realize was that her sister is like a creator, like
Yes.
over 1 million followers creator. And I was like, what
Wow.
does your sister do? What happened? And she was like, yeah, she's the one that actually took this more seriously than I am. But because you saw me as me and we developed this connection, like when my episode comes out, I'm gonna tell my sister and have her share. And I was like, wait, what do
Wow.
you mean? So like actually treating people as a human being, who would have known? You never know what opportunities are gonna come out of that.
Come on. There you go. And you see, listen, I just feel like it's simple. Of course, when you're networking, you want to go into rooms and be strategic, but you also don't want to go into rooms and like be transactional all the time.
Mhm.
Some things sometimes may be one way, but if you stay persistent, you stay genuine, like it will return.
For sure. Exactly. And which is why I be too. I be like side eyeing people. I'm like, you don't know who I know, and you treated me crazy, but you're gonna find out, and then you're gonna regret it.
That part. Let me make sure my office is still here. Yeah. That part.
Gotta fix your edges, sis. Hold on, they almost left.
We're gonna sit pretty though. We ain't gonna say too much.
Yeah. Um, however, though, everyone, this leads me to my next question for you, because yes, we have our own brands, and yes, we develop these connections, but you're not. So everyone has something that continues to motivate them to pursue their dreams, and so they also have, a driving force behind their brand per se. Especially when things get hard, you want to throw in the towel, and you're like, I'm done with this. People treat me crazy, and like I don't want to do it anymore. And for you, that's your faith. So how important is your faith around your brand, and how does it continue to push you to grow, to be better, to not want to like set everything and everyone on fire?
Facts. Listen, child, if I did not have my faith, I don't know where I would be. And quite honestly, I understand why a lot of people are in places they are because they might have not been introduced to God or to the word. And for those who are listening and for those who aren't familiar with me, I am a firm believer in Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. I identify as a believer, and that's how I live my life. That is my faith. So that is the most important thing to me. It helps me make educated and informed decisions in everything I do. What a lot of people don't know about me is that when I was born, my mom was struggling with mental illness so bad that like when I was born, the hospital called my family and was like, somebody has to take this child, this
Mhm.
newborn baby, and care for her. And all love goes to my mom. I think she was just in a place where she could not handle it all. And so my grandma, my aunt stepped in, so many people in the family stepped in and they took over, they took care of me. But they knew that one day this little girl was gonna question, like, why don't I live with my parents? Like, why
Mhm.
does this like, why isn't it like my friends that I see at school? And so at a very young age, my grandma introduced me to Jesus. And I know that some people they have church hurt, they've been introduced to church and they've been hurt in church, they've been exposed to people who identify as Christian but don't live like a Christian or love like a Christian. But my grandma taught me at a very young age that Jesus loves people, he loves you, and he's here to help heal and to like heal others. And so this is why we navigate this world to help and love people. And so I learned that at a very young age, like be kind. Be nice. Speak life into people. Don't speak down. Don't gossip. Don't tear down. Don't gatekeep. Like those aren't characteristics of God. And so my faith is very important to me. And I'm very much like, I talk about topics that the church doesn't want to talk about. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about, how people are struggling financially and are struggling with their mental, capacity. And let's talk about the people who are in the church acting far from God. Okay. Because people at church. So I feel like as a believer, I'm very open and I like to have a lot of conversations. I'm not open to having a lot of conversations on social media because I'm gonna sit down, let's talk about it in person. Like social media can really take things out of control at times. But I am that disruptor in the room who's like, nah, this ain't it. Like let's sit down and talk about this and find a solution. We can't just talk about it. And I feel like Jesus was a disruptor. The people who truly know the word of God knows that Jesus was flipping tables. He was correcting people. He was connecting people who don't look like they should be connected. He was with the taxpayers and he was with the people who got the money and this, that, and third. He didn't play all that cliquish doing this, that, and third. No, he loved everybody. So that's how I navigate my work, my life, my relationships, and that's the fruit that y'all see.
Ooh. Okay, we're in church now.
Church, y'all pulled out.
But no, like heavily, he actually like legit flip tables. And so when I have that urge to flip table, I'm like, this is legit. Like this is supported. But I will say that for me personally, I did grow up Pentecostal, and that was honestly a turnoff because there's so many rules, so much suffocation, so much judgment. Don't even get me started on the judgment.
Oh, the judgment.
Like I wanted to be a lawyer. I always had something to say. So I would always say something. And it got to the point where it was like, I would get in trouble for talking and saying things so much that I eventually was trained to not say anything.
It's so crazy too because, and one day I really want to sit down and I don't know, have a conversation, a panel, an event. But I want to say this for you and for the people who are listening. If you were brought up in the church and there were certain things you did as a child that was shut down, 9 times out of 10, that might be the actual gift that God's going to use for you to change things in this world, in the industry that you're in the family that you're in. Like I was a very outspoken, keep it real person in my family. Today, they call it a disruptor. That helps me be able to set boundaries and conversations from my family to heal. That helps me call out the things that we need to actually sit down and talk about instead of rubbing it under the rug. And it's crazy that the very thing that you be outspoken, that's why we here on this podcast speaking life.
That's literally what it is.
So sometimes the enemy will try to utilize family as a tool to try to silence a child's gift that's actually going to heal the world. Come on now. So if I would say, if you were quieted, if you were silenced, that probably meant you were meant to speak. If you were told, oh, you can't make money in creative passions, you probably were meant to create because a creator, God, made you. Like, come on now. If you wanted to serve on the maintenance team and help putting things together tangibly, setting up the room and stuff, then maybe you're meant to work in that construction area because you're going to bring light to the people on that team. Like, man, don't get me
wrong. Heavy, you touched on everything. Like, yes, being told to be quiet, and now you can't shut me up for nothing. Look, being told like, no, you shouldn't go into fashion, you shouldn't do the creative stuff because you're not going to make money there, baby. Don't even the opportunities that I have lined up, y'all not ready. I'm telling you. And it's like those type of things, like they really were trying to dim your light because even their own lights were already dimmed. They're trying to project their failures onto you because whatever they know you're about to accomplish, they can accomplish themselves, and they're trying to drag you down. And I learned that really quickly. Like there were huge opportunities or huge things that I wanted to. For example, I wanted to move to Berlin, and I had people sit me down at a table in front of my parents telling me why I shouldn't go, why it was a bad idea.
Oh.
And at the end of it, they were like, "Do we change your mind?" I said, "No, if you excuse me, I'm going to go to my sponsor or have a meeting with them," because that's what it was. I had to raise money, get sponsors to go to Berlin, and I made it there.
Wow.
So I have a tendency to prove people wrong. When they tell me I can't do something, I say bet.
Sounds like Jesus. That's all I'm gonna say. The people who read their word and know God for themselves and know God to show up when the bills is past due, know God to show up when they down, sad, and depressed. Those are the people who know that God is a God who will completely flip the script. I mean, that's the gospel in itself. God is here to save those who made a mistake, who sinned, who fell off of the life that was originally intended for us. He's meant to be the scandal in this thing called life. The world will tell you, no, you need to deal with the consequences. And don't get me wrong, you do have to deal with the consequences of bad actions, but grace is still sufficient for you.
Indeed.
And it's so crazy you say that too, because that was my path of getting to LA. I quit my job, started a GoFundMe, and that was out of faith. Yeah.
You quit your job and started a GoFundMe and just left. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
I actually graduated early from college because I landed a job at CBS This Morning with Gayle King, Oprah's best friend, y'all. I got this job and it was good, but it was not the job that I felt was for me. I was working literally every day, coming into the office, 3 a.m., black car service with Gayle King on primetime television each day. And it was an amazing opportunity, but it was not that, you ever get like a good opportunity, but you're like, this don't feel like it's for me. And I had to make a decision. Basically, I quit the job. I quit it and I was like, thanks for taking a risk on me, but I don't want to take up somebody else's space. There's somewhere else I'm supposed to be. This was around this time, actually, near my birthday back in 2019. I was praying and I actually quit that job in New York, y'all, to go work at Bath and Body Works. When you say Christian parents kind of looking at you crazy, like looking at me all types of crazy, but I knew God had a plan. And as I was just praying and showing up to work and listening to worship songs and staying 10 toes, like I got this idea to start a GoFundMe. I started a GoFundMe. I didn't share it for a while. I was working at this job. I ended up after Bath and Body Works, I landed another job that gave me more cushion to save, to get in a better position with myself. And this girl at my job was like, so when you gonna leave? Because I'm ready to quit today. I was like, well, I'm thinking about moving to LA, She was like, well, when you quit, I'm gonna quit, so just let me know. And I was like, what?
That's crazy.
So she was the first person who donated to my GoFundMe. I think she donated $100 to my GoFundMe. And I was like, if this girl just barely knows me, I just started working this new job, then how many more people will support me? I only had about 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers at that time. I did this GoFundMe campaign and raised over $3,000 for me to move to LA. But the real catch is someone messaged me who has been following me for a couple years and said, God told me to pay to ship your car to LA. If y'all have not already watched my YouTube video, How I Moved to LA with No Money, please go watch it, comment, let me know if it spoke to you. This girl paid almost $2,000 to ship my vehicle from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania, because I was living in Pennsylvania with my dad, all the way to LA so I could get that start. When I tell y'all it was nothing but God, and that's why sometimes we can't be speaking on things God planted inside of us to people who don't got no faith. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, and it be the people we love, our family, our parents, our friends, who lack faith in trying to speak life into what we got going on. Like, God told you to go to Berlin and you did it.
Wait, because that's absolutely crazy. That reminds me, I won't say too much context because but that reminds me of the other day that we talked and the moment you got on, you were like, you're being targeted. And it was crazy because I was having that gut feeling that I was being targeted. And like, it's insane because you were already having this plan to go to LA, not even knowing how you're going to get there, has GoFundMe, and someone was like, hey, I'm going to pay for your way to LA. Often those gut feelings, y'all listen to your guts. It's telling you something. Those gut feelings be telling you to move. You don't know how you're going to get there, how it's going to work out, but move.
Come on.
Girl, I am moving. I don't know where I'm moving to, where I'm going, but I'm going.
And you know what? And the word of God says to walk by faith, not by sight. And sometimes
I can't see anyway, but I hear you. Look,
you know what I mean. And so sometimes we gotta walk. We gotta. Child, I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes I've been rolling in faith. Okay, I be on the ground rolling. Jesus, like, come on.
Okay, what is rolling? I'm crawling.
Not crawling. Okay, but you gotta get up. You gotta move. You just gotta move. You know what I mean? And so for those who are listening who might be feeling like, dang, I got to move this job. I got to move out of this apartment. I got to get out of this relationship. You don't got to have it all figured out, but you just need some prayer, some word, get you a Bible, read the word, and move. Get up and do something. I don't care if it's just making a call to have an accountability partner. Just get up and do something.
Just move. That's it. That's literally it. Just move. End of episode. But oftentimes when we're moving, though, there's fear that comes with it. And I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. I am terrified. I tell you every time, I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just here and I'm figuring it out. Even though, I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. Yeah. But I have this gut feeling. I know that I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And oftentimes with this fear comes self-sabotage. Can't even tell you how many times I self-sabotaged. You're not even gonna get into it. And with that fear, with that self-sabotaging, it keeps us from creating and posting content.
Yeah.
And posting content, creating content is what actually now, because we live in a world where social media is such a huge part of our lives, that's the quickest and easiest way to grow, which is terrifying, because as someone who is so used to being in the background, not being seen, trying to put myself on camera, doing all the things, posting, people like it scares me. Okay. That exposure scares me. I'm scared to wake up tomorrow and I got 10,000 followers. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to hide. So if I drop off the face of the earth for a week, you're like, what happened? I'm hide. Y'all know that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
It's real, right? And especially for me. So I know everyone experiences it in some capacity, but I feel it the most prominent in the Black community. So let's talk about it. Okay. Why do you think that is? We know why it is, but I want to hear from Ace of Spades. Okay, why do you think that is?
Fear, and when I answer this, it's like fear in the Black community when it comes to like career, dreams, growth. I would say it's because we understand what it's like to be down and to like make things work and to endure. And we've seen the cost of the people who've gone up and maybe act like they don't know us no more, this, that. But we also understand the risks that can come from us possibly failing and maybe not being able to fall back on another plan. Like I tell people all the time, like I made it this far without a cosigner. Like I don't know how I got through college without a cosigner. I don't know how I got an apartment in my name in North Hollywood with no cosigner. You know what? Actually, I do know it was God. And what I try to tell people is that sometimes we self-sabotage because we're like, I already know how this is going to pan out. And it's like, no. Just maybe God got a better plan. Like, what if we put if we have the ability to put all this fear and frustration and intimidation into anxiety, we can use that same power to think of the best outcome and scenario.
Oh, he's speaking to me.
Like, yo, I just thought, like, when I was planning to move to LA, I kept saying, like, oh my God, what if I end up living under a bridge and being homeless? And my therapist was like, but what if you make it and you come back? I went to LA with that fear, y'all. I went and I left LA being the most paid I've ever been in my life. Like, so sometimes we kind of come up with these scenarios and things that are actually very possible that they can happen, but they're not true that it will happen. And not all facts are true. That's something I'm still learning to work through. That's something I'm still working through. It is a fact that you might not have a job, but it's not true that God won't pay the bill. God might send somebody to pay that bill for you. It's not true that God can't provide. He will provide, and He does.
He does. And do.
Come on.
The horror stories of me living in Dallas. I don't know. Again, I don't know how I continue to pay the bills to stay in my apartment that I was at the time. But lo and behold, sit my auntie, okay? And she took care of a couple of months of rent. Like, I'm going to be real vulnerable here. I got an eviction notice, y'all. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm about to be homeless. And lo and behold, boop, here's some money. Save me. Like, yes, those fears are real. Like, acknowledge those feelings. Don't push them away. Don't suppress them. Because I've learned as someone who's very emotional, who feels a lot and feels very deeply. Suppressing your emotions and not allowing yourself to feel them does not help you. Okay, it leads you into a downward spiral, and it's just kind of like this repetitive. It's just don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, and at some point, I got out of that. And I feel like because I'm still having that fear because I feel like, oh shit, it's gonna happen again. Because what if this current situation that I'm dealing with does happen the way that I have a feeling that it's going to happen? What if there's nothing else that lines up? Now, what if I get another eviction notice? Now, what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just like I've been trained as I was younger because I constantly saw my mom go through so many things. Like things would things will be going good for a while, and then it would go out of nowhere. Life just happens, and it's like, oh shit! Now we're finding to be homeless. Now things are good again. Oh my god, the car's towed, it's gone. Now we don't have a car. Things are going good again. Oh my gosh, she has to file for bankruptcy. Like, what are we gonna do? Everything's good. Oh, now we have to go to a food bank and get some food because she can't afford groceries. Like that fear was instilled into me as a kid because that's all that I saw.
Yeah.
So now that I feel like it's low key starting to happen again, so I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do from here? And at the end of the day, you really just have to keep pushing. Like, yes, you're going to be anxious. Yes, you're going to be scared. Yes, you might cry a few tears and drown yourself in wine, but you have to keep going because if you let that anxiety, that fear overtake you, like whatever the outcome you fear is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah,
honestly, you're manifesting that without even it really happening yet.
I want to say something too. I wouldn't drown yourself in wine necessarily. Maybe
no, I'm just saying, like, if it comes to that, do what you gotta do. But like, please come back up, okay?
But like Diamond, I want to give you kudos because I think first of all, there's so much power and vulnerability. And I know that we don't always have the ability to be vulnerable in every space, but I think that the best thing you could have done in that season with your aunt being able to show up for you, there was a conversation that was had that we weren't privy to, that didn't make it to the Instagram aesthetic feed. You had some type of conversation where you probably told her like, yo, I'm doing my best. And she was able to show up. And what people don't realize is that God can't place people in your life to bless you if you're not honest and vulnerable with him. If you're not honest and vulnerable and saying like, I can't do this on my own, I need help. If you're not honest and vulnerable to say, God, I don't like this job. Can you please help me get one that I like? If you're not ready to have those tough conversations, you're not ready to really do the work that Jesus has called you to do, because he keeps it real. And it's gonna be ugly, tired, not running, laid out, stressed out, but guess what? You're gonna be on top because God's gonna cover you. He's gonna watch over you. He's gonna make sure you're good. So kudos to you for being vulnerable, for making it through that season. And honestly, what I keep trying to tell myself now is like, if God got me through that, then what makes me think he can't get me through this? Like, if he got you through that, the podcast might be paying your bills next.
Okay. Look, because we've had that conversation. You told me, you said, don't say nothing else.
Yeah, no.
Because people are watching and they listen and they miserable and they
come on. What a lot of people don't know too, like, and I'm really working on this because I'm like a vulnerable person and I like to share stuff, but like,
same.
The enemy cannot destroy what he does not know. Please, y'all, be careful sharing these dreams and goals and things with people, especially in workspaces, online. There's people who are intentionally out here meant to try to destroy what you're planning and trying to. You have to find that core community that you know you could trust. You have that gut feeling they're going to push you towards God's plan for your life. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to keep it real with you. And they're also going to be able to hug you when you make a mistake. Those are the people you can share that stuff with. But be timely and strategic with everything, because not everybody wants to see you win. The enemy is literally here to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to steal your faith, steal your joy, kill you, destroy the plans. No. We're not having that. We're here to live a life more abundantly.
Yes. And I've learned that really quickly. Just like you said, you saw that excitement when I started talking about my podcast. And I'm not going to lie, I did see a couple of side eyes. And oftentimes, like, yes, you're so excited about your dreams, the things you have coming up, and you want to share. But again, people who are in that room, sometimes they are not meant to be in that room, and they are not excited for you because they could not achieve what you are about to. That's all I'm going to say.
It could be your
So,
family. It could be.
could be anybody. Okay, so be careful what you say. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, I can't share the things that I really want to because people are going to try to sabotage that for me because they could not achieve it themselves.
But also, too, that's how you know it's going to change somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes people want to try to destroy something because maybe they're just being used to try to tear down something that's actually going to help people. And they probably might not even be knowing. They might know this consciously or unconsciously that they're being used to try to tear something down. But like a lot of people are on assignment. And if they're not on assignment to help, then they're clearly not like on the team that you on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that's okay because I'm gonna find me another team. That's it. You're fired. I'm gonna join another team. I'm gonna start my own team. I don't need your team. I'm gonna start my own team.
Build your own.
Build your own. Okay. Build your own. That's it. And we're building our own. Okay. And it's being built. Mm-hmm. And y'all not ready. So y'all might as well get ready. Hop on a train. Buckle up. Okay. To close out all this goodness, y'all. Asa. To leave with the people, to leave with the girlies. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten from a mentor or peer that changed your life?
There were so many here, y'all. I had to really think about this. Like, and I'm glad this is like the question I was only able to really kind of pre-prepare. But I used to go to 1LA in Los Angeles. Y'all probably know Pastor Sarah Jakes and Pastor Torre. I was under their leadership. Shout out to 1LA fam. That's my family over there. PT once said that the absence of support does not mean there's an absence of an assignment. So you might not have the you might not have the support. You might not have the finances. You might not have the credit score. You might not have the family there to support you, but that does not mean you're not dedicated or put on that assignment that God put inside of you. So just because you don't have the support you need, that you still got to go for it. Mm-hmm. Like you still got to do it. And I think for me, coming from a family that has so much love for me and that like instilled so much in me, but could not support me a lot financially, I learned that at a young age. I learned that the intangible things matter just as much as the tangible things do. So the absence of support does not mean there's an absence of an assignment. Pastor Torre said that. It stuck with me. And every time I try to do something new and I'm scared or I don't have the budget or whatever I need to make it happen, God continues to show me like, I'll provide, but are you going to ask me for it?
I'm eating this up. I'm eating this up.
It's the way you ask. Like, it's the way you ask. It's the way you ask. Are you going to complain or are you going to ask?
Why not both?
Yeah, he's still working on me. I'm still, yeah, I'm going to ask.
Well, I complain a little bit.
A little bit.
This was so good. I ate all of this up. Okay, edible. Okay. Asa Spades, baby girl. Thank you so much for being on this episode. I don't think the girls are ready. Yeah. I don't think they're ready.
Man, y'all convicted me in so many ways. Even this conversation was good. It was a good reminder that I needed. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Well, tell the girlies where they can find you because I feel like they need to find you.
Well, y'all can find me on Instagram at I am Asa Duggar. You can find me on YouTube, Asa Duggar. TikTok is the same. I'm not really on TikTok though, y'all. I'll be on Instagram and YouTube. And then if you are looking for community, if you're a creator who's looking for community, you want to grow deeper in your faith, you want to be around people who will support you for who you are and not just what you do, follow Beauty and Becoming on Instagram. We also have the website, Beauty and Becoming. And if you are a brand or a sponsor who would like to get behind some of our events, check out our previous sponsors and events. I love to chat. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, I love that. All of that will be in the show notes. Okay, y'all. Yes. end this episode, okay? And go chase your dreams. That's it.
Amen.
Much love for you, Asa.
Mwah.